Welcome to my channel, The Binge Eating Therapist. I'm Sarah, former binge eater turned psychotherapist, and my mission is to use this space to bring content to you to help you understand your struggle with food and break free from binge eating. Today's video was actually a request from a subscriber. They left a comment asking me to do a video about why is it that some people seem to recover from binge eating and others don't. My initial response, if I'm being totally honest, when I read that question was, how on earth do I know? But having given it some time and thinking about it, actually there are a few things that I have observed and a few things that I believe that really make a difference between whether somebody is able to reach a place of recovery with food and those that stay stuck. What I found when I was thinking about it is actually a lot of them came down to this theme of willingness to do this, willingness to do that. Now, I can't teach you how to be willing, but what I think my content does and some of the questions that I ask is that it starts to unpick and hopefully remove some of the things that block you from being willing. So this idea that you can just be willing to do these things when you might feel resistance when I say them, that's okay, like that's normal. My encouragement is to notice any resistance you have when I share these, to watch out for catastrophizing, the part of your brain that's going to go, well, I can't do that. Does that mean that I'm never going to recover? No, it just might be that there is some resistance there and that there might be some blocks, but that maybe these are some of the places you want to be working to getting. I'm not sure if places is the right word. These are some of the attitudes perhaps that ideally you may want to embrace to increase your chances of getting to a place of feeling freer and more peaceful around food. So I came up with 4, and the first 3 are kind of within that willingness theme, and the last one's a little bit different. So the first one is about the willingness to let go of control. Now that's not the same as me just saying to you, just let go of control, and you're going like, okay, I can let go of control. There's a willingness part in there. Because I think part of what it means to be human is we're going to try and control, and then when that becomes too painful, are we willing to let go of control for a bit and see what happens? The reason why we control is because we're trying to feel safe. We also try and control when we are lacking in trust. So when we can't trust ourselves, our appetites, our bodies, then we're going to try and control those things. Because otherwise, to live in a state of not trusting and to not do anything about it is going to lead you to a path of despair. So for me, letting go of control was looking like something I made a decision, and it's one that I have to make over and over again. I make this decision, I come back to this idea of I'm just going to trust life. Yes, I have my thoughts, my belief, my will about what I want to happen in my life, but there is so much of that that's beyond my control. So if I cling too tightly to those, I'm going to feel anxious and I'm going to feel stressed. So if you're walking around feeling anxious and stressed a lot, what are the things that you are clinging on to and trying to control when so much may be beyond your control? This really involves being able to create a sense of safety. So sometimes rather than going straight to, oh, I should be able to let go of control, the question to focus on first might be, how do I build up more safety? And by safety, I mean being able to ground yourself in the present moment without the past rushing in and without all these fears of the future going on at the same time. It's being able to almost take control of where you, take control of where you put your focus. So the one thing that may be within our control is in any given moment, choosing our response. That's the one thing that really is in our control. But the majority of things that are not that, what's happened, what's going to happen, even what's happening around us now, is not in our control. So are you willing to, 1, accept that there's a lot more outside of your control than you possibly realise? We think we should be able to control things like our appetites and our bodies, and there's so much around that that's not in our control. So this is a practice of discernment. It's like the serenity prayer. About granting me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the tricky part, because when you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, you think you can control more things than you actually can. And the next one I wanted to share, and this one I think is really important, and it's about developing the capacity and willingness to forgive yourself. It's easy to look at somebody else and see maybe they've binged and think, well, yeah, they should forgive themselves. They haven't done anything terrible. And don't we struggle to do the same thing for ourselves? And when I was reflecting on this the other day, because my thoughts were spiraling about something, and I was bringing myself back to, can I just forgive myself for the decisions that I made back then? And I wrestled with myself because I recognized that I couldn't do anything about it, so to forgive myself would bring me a bit more calmness. But there was a voice inside my head that was like, I don't want to forgive myself, I just want to be a better person. If I keep forgiving myself, does that mean I'm just never going to change? I'm never going to push myself to do the things that perhaps I feel like I want to or need to do? But the problem is, when you feel like you've fallen short of your own expectations and you refuse to let yourself off the hook for that, you spend large amounts of time, if not all the time, just living in a state of shame and just feeling like this constant failure. If you're trying to do something new, or let's say you're trying to implement some of the intuitive eating principles, and then you have a difficult day where you binge out on the sofa all day and you eat a lot, and then you weren't even thinking about intuitive eating, the longer you spend beating yourself up about that, the harder it's going to be to get yourself back in balance. So what forgiveness does is it's that willingness to accept that we are fallible, but then also there's that choosing your response and bringing yourself back again. The next one, I struggled a bit with how to word this in a way that made sense. So it's around this idea of the willingness to be wrong. We hold these beliefs, we hold lots of shoulds about how it is we think we should be, how we should be showing up with food, how our bodies should look, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and all this narration going on and on and on. So a lot of psychological work with binge eating is around challenging this belief system that supports this binge eating behavior. But in order to challenge the belief system, we have to be willing to accept that something we may have believed our entire lives might not be true or doesn't have to be true. So let's say, as an example, you carry this belief that's going, okay, I can't date until I fix my food and I fix my body, and then I'll go out and date. And you've believed that for a long time. What if that wasn't true? What if you depriving yourself of seeking connection is a big part of like how you end up using food? That can be a hard thing to let go of, because it means that maybe you've been holding yourself back from something that's available to you now. So a lot of the times when you have beliefs, especially about what you are going to do when you fix yourself, quite often those thoughts and those beliefs you have about your worthiness to do those things, about the fear of rejection, all these things that you imagine are going to be transformed when you change your relationship with food. It doesn't work like that. Let's just take one more example, one closer to food. Let's say you have a belief, every time I eat this certain type of food, I lose control. Now, to challenge that belief, to be able to turn it to, I can eat that food and not lose control, there's going to be part of you that's judging you, that's going, well, then why haven't you done it by now? So by challenging some of these beliefs, we make it mean all these types of other things about us, and we become so invested in all the beliefs we have about ourselves, about life, about what we're doing, and we turn it into our identity. This is why changing beliefs can be so difficult, because it feels threatening to who we actually are. If you believe you're not good enough, what if you actually are? What does that mean about all the years that you believed you're not good enough? Stuff can really stir us up, and we want to cling to these identities because it's what we know. And we want to be right, otherwise we fear that we've just built an identity on a lie. But identity is an illusion anyway, but that sounds like another video. And how many of you have that friend who is single and is desperate to be in a relationship, and you watch them continuing to repel potential partners because they're so desperate for that very thing? It's like the same with recovery. When binge eating recovery is your sole purpose in life and it's the thing that matters more than anything else, it's almost like in that very act you drive it further away. So my fourth point was going to be finding purpose in life outside of binge eating recovery. Now, purpose doesn't have to be anything grand, doesn't have to be this big life purpose. We can be purposeful in the way we are in our relationships, in the way we want to show up at work, in our routines, in all of it. It might be a creative pursuit. It could be just that willingness. I didn't think the last one was about willingness, but I guess this is all about willingness. The willingness to engage with life in a meaningful way. Let me ask it to you like this. If you solved all your food issues and your body was the way you wanted your body to be, how would you be showing up differently in life? What are the things that you would be doing, and how would things be different? And then my follow-up question to that would be, are you willing to start living like that now? Because when you put life on hold to try and fix this problem, life just becomes that problem. I thought for the longest time that if I managed to recover from binge eating, it would transform the way I felt about myself. And I was really disappointed to find out that it didn't. There was some relief, there was some freedom around food, and then it just got boring. If you are looking for salvation in this journey of binge eating recovery, that you're going to emerge on the other side a different person and fully ready and able to engage in life, you may be disappointed. So are you willing to find purpose and meaning and connection in life now, even though you are still binge eating? I think those that manage to do that lap over then find that recovery becomes, I don't want to say easier, but yeah, recovery becomes easier almost when it becomes slightly less important, when there are other things in your life that are important, more important than this. So those are 4 things that I think set people up for, I don't like the word success, it's loaded, for being able to reach some kind of place of balance with food again. And that is being willing to let go of control, being willing to forgive yourself, being willing to be wrong for all the things that you've believed up to this point that to not actually be true, or they don't have to be true, and for the willingness to find purpose outside of binge eating before you've stopped binge eating. Now, just quickly before I end, if you're watching this in April, in about a week and a half's time, the Body Self Summit starts. So this is a 10-day event. It's completely free to attend. There's lots of people going to be there talking about some of these types of things. I'm going to be talking there. I'm going to pop a link to it below so you can register your space, sign up for free, and there might be some interesting subjects and talks that you can listen to there that might support what you're doing. Okay, my friends, go well, and I will see you on the next video.